Welcome to the Skeins of Dreams knitting podcast. I'm Megha and I'm known as Skeins of Dreams on Instagram and on Ravelry. This is episode 2 of my knitting podcast, and I released the first episode 2 weeks ago. I'm so thankful for all of you who watched it and left such beautiful comments on the video. Thank you so much for being so welcoming. I really enjoyed making that video, and I really was looking forward to recording another one and uploading another video. Thank you so much for all the lovely comments that you left on my previous one. I'm really grateful to you all, and I'm so lucky to have such amazing friends. So this is episode 2, and I'm hoping to record videos every couple of weeks as my schedule permits. And I'm really excited to be here again with you. Today is October 1st. It's a Friday. And I'm recording in the evening. My apartment's west facing, so there's a lot of sunlight coming in on my face, but I actually enjoy having such natural light in the house, and I have a huge French window right by me, so that's what you're you're seeing, the light on my face. But I'm hoping this location is good, and it helps you see the yarn and my projects pretty well. Do let me know if you'd like me to try a few other locations in my house, but I wanted to pick the one that has the most amount of light, and I really think that this is a good location for that. So how have you been? My 2 weeks were quite eventful. I think I was home only a week. I was home 1 week, and then this week I traveled for almost 5 days. This week I had a work trip in Toledo, Ohio. I know it's not the most exciting place to be, but I work in the iron and steel making industry, and we had a 3-day conference in Toledo, and a plant tour as well. So I was there in Toledo, and my best friend lives in Cleveland, which is on the way to Toledo. So I drove to Cleveland last Saturday, and I spent some time with my friend and her husband, and then I went to Toledo from there. So I've been on the road for 5 days. I came back just yesterday, and I have been knitting. I took my knitting with me, as I always do, and whenever I found any time after the conference in the evenings, before I went to bed in the hotel room and everything, I was knitting. So I made sure I stayed I stayed on track with my knitting. I try to do that every time I travel. I used to travel quite a bit for work before the pandemic, and now it has reduced quite a bit, but I still have to travel for work. So I think slowly we're getting back on track with our travel schedule and approvals and everything. They had reduced how much we needed to travel, and it was all on like approval basis. So we have to get approved to be able to travel now. But I was able to go to Toledo to attend this conference and to visit the plant, and it was a good trip. All in all, I'm exhausted from the trip, definitely. But tomorrow is one of my friend's weddings, so I won't be able to record tomorrow because I'll be busy getting ready and going there and everything. So I really wanted to get this done because I wanted to put out another video this weekend. So that's why I'm here on a Friday evening. I haven't yet figured out what my routine is going to be with the videos. We'll see how it goes. But I'm here now, and I'd like to talk about my projects. And right off the bat, I have a finished object. I showed this particular sweater on my previous episode as a work in progress, and I finished it. I actually, I think I recorded 2 weeks ago on a Saturday, and I had one sleeve left, and Sunday evening I was done with the sleeve. I blogged it Sunday evening, and on Monday I had a brand new sweater ready to go. There were a few days where I could have worn this sweater, but I didn't really wear it anywhere. And this is my Rhinebeck sweater. I'm going to Rhinebeck, and Rhinebeck's in 2 weeks, and I'm really excited that I'm going, and I have my sweater ready. And here, you all get the first look. I did put this. I did put up a picture on my Instagram if you follow me on Instagram. But this is my Enola sweater. I knit this in Magpie Fibers domestic fingering yarn, and the colorway is Tupelo Honey. So the Enola sweater is a sweater by Nadia of NCL Knits. I can't really pronounce Nadia's last name. I'm not very good with French, so I'm not gonna butcher it. And she's known as NCL Knits on Instagram and on Ravelry, and she has some beautiful patterns. I really love her designs, and as soon as I saw this design, I knew I had to make it. And she made it in a really beautiful dusty rose pink color, I think, and I love the color as well. I did consider making it in pink. I really like pink as well, but I had this sweater quantity of this beautiful mustard color yarn, and I really wanted to make a sweater for fall, especially for Rhinebeck, and I thought this was like the best option in my stash. I've made it a 3/4 sleeve sweater. I think Nadia's design is also 3/4 sleeves. I did make it 3/4, and I really enjoy 3/4 sleeves for fingering weight sweaters because I can wear them indoors and still feel warm. And then I can layer on top of them, wear an actual thick layer on top when I'm going out or something. And I enjoy the sleeve length. It's not in the way of me doing anything, and it's very practical for me. I do get warm quite easily, so I like having some sleeve length to my sweaters. So the sleeves, I just did, I think I knit 2 inches. So it's a yoke sweater, circular yoke. So you do the lace patterning, and then you divide for the body and for the sleeves, and then I knit the body to the length that I wanted. And I'll actually try put pictures on the side to show what the finished sweater looks like on me. And I'll also put a picture of the actual sweater by Nadia if I've not already done so while I was talking about her. But I picked up the sleeves, knit them for 2 inches straight, and then did a few decreases. And once I felt like the decreases were enough, I just decreased, I think I decreased suddenly like 10 stitches just before I started the ribbing, and then I did 1 inch ribbing, and that's how I've done the sleeves. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It has a bit of positive ease. I don't know if I'm able to show the sweater very well. I'm sitting on my couch today. I will put up pictures of me wearing this sweater, so you'll see it has a bit of positive ease, and it's very comfortable, very relaxed, and I'm really pleased with it. If you saw the previous episode, the lace pattern was kind of bunched up when I was showing it on camera, but then once I washed it and I just laid it out to dry, it just it opened up and it relaxed, and I'm so happy with how the lace turned out. So this is my finished object, and I knit this on US 3 needles. So it was I think the gauge is 24 stitches, and I actually got 26 stitches in 4 inches. That was my gauge. So I did some. So what I end up doing, if I feel like the yoke isn't big enough, just before I separate for the sleeves, I try on the sweater, and if I'm a little unhappy with how the length of the yoke is, or if I feel like the sweater is too small, I put markers for raglan increases, and I, even after a circular yoke, I do like 4 or 5 raglan increases to get the sweater to the length that I need. And this happens usually if my gauge is too tight and the resulting yoke is not as big as it's meant to be for my size. I end up adding some raglan increases to help with that, and then once I have enough number of stitches and I'm happy with the raglan increases, I then divide for the body and sleeves. So yeah, so this is my Enola sweater, and I'm super pleased with it. I think it's a big success. I did have actually 6 skeins of this yarn. I used just a little more than 4. If you saw my previous episode, one of the skeins I am using for my Stephen West mystery knit along starting next week, and I still have another skein, that is, and so I have to figure out what I want to do with it. Maybe I'll make a gift knit for a friend, a hat, maybe baby sweater perhaps. So I'm going to figure out what I want to do with it, but the yarn is very beautiful. I'm so happy I purchased this, and I'm so happy it's now an Enola sweater, and I'm really pleased with the outcome. So yeah, so that's my finished object for today. I do have a couple of whips or works in progress that I'd like to talk about. So I think last time this particular sweater was in my to be cast on, in my what's next on my needles. I was preparing to cast on for the Hohi fall knit along, and so Hohi has a fall knit along almost every year. I think they've been doing it for 10 years now. So I wanted to participate in this year's knit along, and I cast on as I planned, and so yeah, so I am making the milkshake cardigan, and I'll put a picture of the cardigan up on the screen so you can see. So this is, I think, one of Hohi's earlier patterns. I think this is a pattern she did for Madeline Tosh. Hohi has a lot of patterns that she collaborated with Madeline Tosh for, and so this is one of them. And I'm knitting this I'm knitting this in this yarn that I purchased from Miss Babs. This is the Yowza DK. This yarn is, I think it's 560 yards in 225 grams. So this is like a big cake. I think that's where the name Yowza comes from. So this color is called dark parchment. It's a dark beige color. I'm super happy with this color. It's very it's a beautiful neutral. This yarn has I mean, right now maybe it's getting blown out a little, but it does have a sheen to it. It's beautiful. It's 100% superwash merino, and so this is my cardigan so far, and let me show you the back. So yeah, I've joined for the body, and I've already knit quite a bit from the underarm. I think maybe about 4 or 5 inches already. So Hohi has a specific way that she designs her garments, and I've knit at least 2 3 other garments that have a similar construction. So you actually start with casting on for the back of the neck, and then you do some short rows, and then you knit the back till the underarm. So you knit straight until a certain point, and then you start doing armhole shaping. And once you've reached the center of your underarm, I think then you stop. And then what you do is from the shoulder, and you can see I have a stitch marker here, but this is the shoulder from where I have to pick up stitches to knit the right side of the sweater. So I picked up the stitches, and then I started knitting the right front and then the left front. So you knit the right and the left fronts until you reach, again you do some armhole shaping, and then once you reach the underarm, you join the fronts, 2 fronts and the back, and then you start knitting all of them together. So since this is a cardigan, this is being knit front and back and forth, so I'm knitting and purling. I knit continental, so I don't mind purling at all. Sometimes I do find that my purl rows are looser than my knit rows, so I've been a little mindful about making sure my tension is okay, so the gauge does not change between the knit and purl rows. But I've noticed that once I block the garment, I don't usually have any issues. I knit a lot of cardigans, and I knit back and forth quite a bit, and I don't have any problem with that. I actually used to knit English style, so I was a thrower, and I realized that I was knitting quite slowly because of that. And so what I ended up doing was I picked a sweater that was just plain stockinette. It was stockinette and also seamed, so I knit the front and the back and 2 sleeves flat, and then you had to seam everything together. And what I did was that sweater, I used that as my practice project. I started continental knitting, and I knit that whole project continental, and at the end of the sweater I was good at it. I mean, I could knit continental and I didn't have to think about it, and my speed definitely increased. Of course, I started knitting a little looser than I did when I was knitting English style, and that actually over the years has changed. So initially my gauge used to be too loose that I had to size down a couple of needle sizes to get the right gauge, because continental knitting was very loose when I was doing it. But now I feel like over time with practice, I think my gauge has corrected itself, and now I'm able to get the gauge that is specified either on the yarn or by the designer if they've used it. So I think my gauge has now kind of I think my yarn, the tensioning of the yarn has become better, and so I've been able to correct my gauge, and now I don't knit all that loose anymore. I still size down one needle size, but I don't have to size down too much. Like I'm pretty much on gauge with either the recommended needles or one size smaller than the recommended needles. So I think my continental knitting, the tension has improved since I first started continental knitting. But yeah, so I went on a tangent about knitting style. Don't mind me. So yeah, so this is my milkshake cardigan. Again, this is Miss Babs Yowza DK in the dark parchment colorway, and I'm really pleased. I have 3 skeins of this yarn, and I used one already, and I've already started the second skein. There's a lot of stuff dangling because I'm alternating skeins. Though the dye is pretty uniform, I don't have to alternate it, but I still decided to alternate at least towards the point where I have to change the skein from skein 1 to skein 2. I started alternating skeins just before I'm finishing the first skein, so that at least the transition from the first to the second skein is uniform. While I'm doing the shoulder shaping and then picking up stitches and then starting the fronts, it's too much hassle and confusion to alternate skeins. So over here, I didn't really alternate skeins. I started it somewhere where I had already joined for the front and back, and then I started alternating skeins. So yeah, so that's one of my works in progress. Of course, I've knit quite a bit of it, especially given the fact that I was traveling. I'm pretty pleased with that. Um, and I'm really excited to finish this cardigan. I really love wearing cardigans, especially during fall and winter. My office is quite chilly, and I'm too warm to always wear a pullover, especially if it's like heavier than fingering weight. So I prefer wearing open cardigans and never button them. I just like put them on because I think I feel coldest on my shoulders. So I really enjoy wearing cardigans, and I think this is a very pretty neutral color. I'm super pleased with this, and I think this will go with a lot of things in my wardrobe. Though even if it doesn't go, I'm still going to wear it. It doesn't matter. If it's a cardigan, I'll wear it no matter what color. So yeah, so that's my milkshake cardigan. Um, and I'm definitely going to have show notes. I'm gonna put up information about the yarn and the link to my project page, everything in the description box below. But one of the suggestions that I received on my first episode was to add a little more visual imagery, like show the patterns when I'm talking about them. I didn't want to print out stuff and then have to show the printouts, so I'm just actually going to add the pictures in the video itself so you can look at them when I'm talking about them. Yep. So that was my first work in progress. And then I started a colorwork sweater. So I have cast on fever all the time. Like, this is a perpetual state of being for me. I always want to cast on. And especially if I'm working on a project that has simple stockinette going for a while, just like the cardigan I just showed, I start itching for something fun. Like, I not that stockinette is not fun. I enjoy knitting on stockinette projects, especially when I'm watching TV. But then I sometimes want something that's a little more engaging. And then so this particular sweater is a very popular sweater, and it's been knit by a lot of people. But so wait, let me first tell you which sweater it is. So I'm knitting the Birkin sweater by Caitlin Hunter, who is Boyland Knitworks on Instagram and Ravelry. I really love Caitlin's designs as well. I've knit a few of her designs, and I've had the Birkin sweater in my queue for the longest time. But I think her first version of that sweater, there were a lot of projects on Ravelry that had issues with the fit of the yoke. And I generally, this is what I do, like when I like a pattern, I go to the Ravelry projects of other people who've knitted, and I'd like to see how it looks on people, how it looks on different body shapes and sizes, and that's how I decide whether I want to knit the pattern or not. And when I looked at all the people who had made the Birkin sweater already, there were some people who had issues with how the yoke was fitting. And as much as I liked the color work motif and everything. I kind of felt a little put off by people complaining about that. Not that, I mean, I'm not to say there were a lot of people who didn't have a problem with it, and they made the sweater and it looked amazing. But just, I don't know. I didn't end up. It was on in my queue, and I sat on it, and I sat on it, and I sat on it, and suddenly I realized that Caitlin actually did an update on that pattern. She revamped it. I think she made changes to make the fit better based on what people had told her about how the fit was. And she re-released the pattern, and I think there was actually a test call that went out and people tested that pattern again, and Caitlin redid the design to fit better. And so I had it on my mind for the longest time, and I have not knit a color work sweater in a while. Last year I went through this phase of knitting a lot of color work sweaters, and then earlier this year I was knitting a sweater which had very long floats, and I didn't like it. I mean, I caught my floats, I did everything we are supposed to. I looked at videos how to catch floats when you're knitting color work that has long floats, but for some reason it didn't work out, and my knitting looked terrible, my tension wasn't great, and I got really upset about it, and I frogged the project, and I just got put off about it, and I started knitting just other things, lace and color, lace and stockinette and everything, and I just ignored color work for a while. But I felt like it had been enough time and that I needed to pick up my color work sweaters again. So I cast on the Birkin, and this is my progress so far. I'm all about the fall colors and pink. Shouldn't forget the pink. So I'm definitely about the fall colors. So I'm knitting it in this beautiful rusty heather color, and I'm doing just a 2-color sweater. I know the Birkin has multiple colors, like some people do this leaf motif in one color and then they change the color of the flowers, and then there's another, this leaf motif again comes back at the end. But I like the 2-color effect, so I'm doing a 2-color Birkin, and my contrast color is just a regular, it's white basically. So I'm using Rama Phenol. Can you see that? Yeah, so Rama Phenol PT2. This is a Norwegian yarn. It's 100% wool, and I've already used this yarn before. Last year I made a very beautiful cardigan by Skandir Knits, and I made the Otra, I think it's called Otra cardigan, and I used Rama for the first time for that sweater, and I'm in love. Like it's a beautiful non-superwash yarn, and it has amazing colors, and this one is color 4132. I think sometimes on websites when you're buying it, it does list a colorway name. I think this is called Dark Rust Heather. I'm not confident about that. I'm just gonna put it in the show notes, but the color number is definitely 4132. So that's the beautiful rusty heather color. And the contrast color is just, it's blown out. It's just this oatmeal-y natural color. And I forget what the number for this is. I'm going to put that here or in the show notes. I did save the ball band, but oh yeah, I have it. It's 4078. So this is 4078, and this is 4132. So these are my colors for my Birkin, and I'm really pleased with how it's coming out. I'm still a little nervous about my color work and my tension. So what I'm planning to do is, once I have the yoke done, I might just steam the sweater and let the yarn bloom, and then see how the tension looks and how the color work looks. So since I knit with this before, and anyone who's knit with non-superwash wool will tell you this, is that the yarn tends to bloom. So even if when you're knitting it, it looks like there are some gaps, once you wash and block it, the fibers just spread and like lock into each other, and it makes a very nice fabric, and it fills in all the gaps. The fibers just fill in all the gaps, so the yarn blooms, and it creates a very pretty fabric, and then the color work starts looking very nice. Actually, it doesn't look like it has any gaps in it anymore. So pretty. So yeah, so I'm going to finish knitting the yoke, and then I'm actually going to steam block the sweater, so that I make sure that my tension is okay and the motif looks good before I go on with the straight stockinette in the rest of the sweater, just to make sure. And then I can do a fit check. I'll put it on 2 needles and I'll just like try it on and everything. So I'm really pleased with how it looks so far. I'm really pleased with the color. It's gorgeous. I'm really happy with it. So this is my Birkin sweater, and I think I started it last Saturday, and then I spent like 2 days just knitting this. I was in Cleveland visiting my friend, and they know me by now. They know that even if I'm talking or I'm watching TV or I'm playing board games, I'm constantly knitting. I think everybody close to me has like accepted that fact, and sometimes Baljit, my husband, gives me a hard time about it, but mostly, he'll check, like he will be talking and I'll be knitting, and then suddenly he'll say, "Oh, what's the last sentence I said?" But I am listening. Just because I'm knitting doesn't mean I'm not listening. So I always pass that test, so he doesn't give me too much of a hard time. But he occasionally, he prefers, if I'm watching a movie or something, that I stop knitting and pay attention to the movie. So I do that sometimes for him. Otherwise, I'm always knitting. Like, so my friends have kind of accepted that Megha comes with her knitting. Yep. So I started this last Saturday, and then I knitted for like 2-3 days straight. And then once I was in Toledo and I was at the conference, I didn't really have that much brain capacity to come back to the hotel room and do color work. So I was knitting the milkshake cardigan because it's just straight stockinette, and so yeah. And I think you saw a peek of this bag, so I know showing knitting bags is also a thing. So this is the bag I have kept it in. I made this bag. I don't know, is it sewed? I sewed this bag and I made this bag. I have a sewing machine, and I have started dabbling in a little bit of sewing as well. So I made this bag, I think it's been a year. The finishing is terrible. If I show you my stitches, they're ugly. I don't like them. But it's a good bag. It has a zip, and I also have a contrast lining, and it was one of the first few bags I made, so I'm very pleased with it. And I have 2 cats who are extremely naughty. They get into my knitting, they eat wool, so they do all sorts of mischievous activities. So I like keeping my knitting in bags that have zips in them, so that I can keep them away from the cats. Actually, Oreo is sleeping at my feet right now, but I'll let him be. So yeah, so this is a bag I made. I just bought this fabric at a local fabric store. I just wanted to try making some bags, and I really enjoyed making this one. So it's a big bag. It can carry a sweater's quantity of yarn and a sweater project. I do have some smaller bags that I made uh, that are for socks or shawl or something. So I think I need to make more because I'm running out of project bags to keep all my knitting in. So hopefully I'll be making a few bags in the coming few weeks. Um, so yeah, so that was my Birkin sweater. I've already spoken for 35 minutes, but this is going to be a long episode because I have a lot to talk about. I am actually knitting on another project. So this is my third work in progress. I'm knitting the one that I want crop. It's a crop top by Lily Kate France, and it's a very pretty, and I'll put a picture of the garment here. It's a very beautiful design, and I'm in the middle of a row. That's terrible. Not podcast etiquette. uh, so I'm making this top for a friend. I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of a row. You can't really tell anything right now, so the way this top is knit is it's knit sideways. You start at the center back, you knit around the under the arm, and then once you reach the front, you cast on stitches for the strap. So that's this strap that I've made, one strap, and then you cast off for the strap, then you knit through across the front, and then you cast on the second strap. So I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of the row right now, but so I've currently finished one strap. So so I started on this side, this is at the back, and then you have a lot of short row shaping to shape for your bust and for your back as well. So you do the short row shaping, and then I've done one strap, and now I'm in the process of getting to the second strap. So it's done completely in garter stitch, and I've actually knit this pattern before. I knit it for my friend who lives in Cleveland, the one I visited. I knit it for her in a very beautiful bright dark pink color, and I had used the same yarn. So this is Knit Picks Comfy Worsted. It's 75% Pima cotton, 25% acrylic yarn by Knit Picks. It's very soft, very next to skin. I really like the colors. I've actually used this yarn for baby blankets. There is a very big crochet blanket that I will most likely talk about in upcoming episodes. But I've used this yarn. I used this yarn for the first crop top that I knit for my friend. That was in pink. I forget the colorway name, but this is a very pretty petrol blue, and the colorway is called Planetarium. I'm knitting this for a friend, for my friend who is actually coming to Rhinebeck with me, and so three of us are actually going to Rhinebeck, and she's one of them, and she really loves blues and greens, and she picked out the petrol blue color, and she really likes the design. She saw the design, and she saw that I was knitting for my other friend, and she really wanted me to knit this for her. So I started this. I do this at lunch at work. So the three of us actually get together and do some lunch knitting at work, because we work in the same organization. So I started knitting this at lunch. So it's a very quick knit. I'm only knitting the second size, so it's not like one of the big sizes as well. I'm hoping to be finished by next week, because once you finish knitting the actual top, you have to do lace crochet edging. The crochet edging doesn't take long. I've done it before and I know it's quite quick, but that's what gives it like its final impact. Like I really like how the top looks once you've done the crochet edging as well. So yeah, so this is my third work in progress, but this is a smaller one. I'm hoping to be done with it next week, and I really want to finish it before Rhinebeck, which is in 2 weeks, because I'd like my friend to at least have the opportunity to wear it to Rhinebeck. I'm not sure if it's going to be cool enough. Maybe she wants to wear something else. No pressure. I just have a deadline so that I can work towards it and get it done. So yeah, so this is another thing that I'm working on, and because I've made it before, I feel like I'm faster this time around, and I already finished like the first strap and everything, so I should be able to get to the complete the project without any issues, since I've knitted before. I think the biggest learning I had from knitting this already once is that it's really important before you attach the straps and everything to actually do fit checks. And actually Lily Kate puts this at multiple locations in the pattern, that please do a fit check, make sure like everything is fitting and all of that, because it's knit sideways and then it's a really snug crop top. It's really important that it fits well. If you're making a loose top with a lot of positive ease, maybe you can get away with stuff, but when it's supposed to fit really well, it's good to do fit checks, especially when I'm knitting for someone else. This is always an issue. If I don't live close to them, or if I don't see them frequently enough, I can't make them try on things. And then when I do see them, I want to give them the finished object. So it becomes an issue that I can't have them trying everything on all the time. But since this particular friend of mine, and I'm not naming her just because I haven't asked her if I can name her. So everything is in pronouns right now. But once I ask my friends if I can take their names on the video, then maybe I'll stop using so many pronouns. But yeah, once because we meet frequently enough that she can try it on and let me know if something needs to be adjusted, I can do that. So yeah, so work in progress number 3. And I think that's everything work in progress wise. And sorry, I should have given a disclaimer at the beginning that this is going to be a long episode. It's just my second and it's already so long. I talk a lot. Yeah, so I have a stash acquisition, and I want to talk about some patterns that I'm planning to purchase for during Rhinebeck. So maybe I'll do the Rhinebeck planning first and then the stash acquisitions, because I know some people don't like to watch stash acquisitions. I personally watch all the stash acquisitions, and I do understand that it's enabling, and I do get enabled sometimes, but then that's how it goes. I love watching what people are purchasing and the patterns they want to knit, so that gives me inspiration and everything. So maybe we'll jump to Rhinebeck planning, right? So I have purchased a lot of yarn already in the last couple months. I know I was supposed to be on a yarn diet. It's not happening. It's not working out. So I did end up making a few purchases. So I'm hoping for Rhinebeck I don't walk away with too much. Usually when there's so many vendors and so much stuff happening and so many people, I tend to get overwhelmed. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to purchase as much. But I have two patterns that I really like and that I really want to buy yarn for. And there's no particular reason that I picked these patterns. They just happen to come into my life at this moment, and I'm going to Rhinebeck and I wanted a plan for Rhinebeck. So I think I'm going to be purchasing yarn for these two patterns. Mainly. We'll see what happens. I don't know if I'm just gonna pick up random skeins without any plans or anything. So anyway, the first cardigan is the Sycamore cardigan. This is by Xenia Naidion, and I'm probably mispronouncing her name, but I'm sorry about that. I don't know how to say the last name, but I think the first name is Xenia. And she's known as Life is Cozy on Ravelry and I think on Instagram as well. And she has such beautiful patterns, and I really love the sleeve detailing of the Sycamore cardigan. And I'm going to put a picture on the screen so you can see. It has really nice balloon sleeves with some detailing on the sleeves, and it's a short crop cardigan, but I think I might just make it a little longer so I can wear it with jeans. But I'm really into this cardigan, and I really like it a lot, and I imagine it in a really bright pink or a really bright red, and that'll be super pretty. So yeah, so that's one pattern that I want to purchase for when I'm at Rhinebeck. And the other pattern is from this 52 Weeks of Shawls book. When Lina came out with this one and also the 52 Weeks of Socks, I had to buy it. I mean, there was no choice. I had to buy it. So I have the shawls and the socks book, but honestly speaking, I haven't knit a single pattern from either of these books, and I'm upset about that. Like, I have so many beautiful patterns and I haven't knit a single one of those. So Rhinebeck, here I come. I'm going to purchase yarn to make this Hiraeth shawl. I think that's how you pronounce it, Hiraeth. Maybe I'm doing that wrong. But it's a beautiful, large DK weight shawl. It's by Claire Walls. It's a triangular shawl, and I can show you the, oops, can you see? So that's how it looks. It's just a small schematic that Lina is known for. So it's a triangular shawl with a beautiful lace and I think cable detailing along one edge. It's a very large shawl. I think you need around 1300 yards. 1230 yards, yeah. So you need about 1300 yards of DK weight, and I want to make this in a beautiful alpaca yarn. So it'll be really warm and cozy and soft and amazing. So this is one of the patterns that I want to purchase for as well. So these two are the main two that I'm thinking of, and I don't know if while I'm at Rhinebeck I go crazy and buy for a bunch of other stuff, but I thought I should at least have a clear plan about two patterns that I can purchase for and that I plan to knit anyway. So yeah, so that's what my Rhinebeck planning is, and I'm really excited. You can already tell I have been talking about it for what, 10 minutes now? I need to stop. And there will be a Rhinebeck episode. Imagine how much I'm going to talk when there's the actual episode. So yeah, so then I think we're at our last segment where I want to talk about my stash acquisitions. So I bought some yarn from the Wandering Flock. Geraldine is the dyer, and I think she's based out of New York. And I found out about her a few months ago, and I have been creeping around on her Etsy store, looking at all the beautiful colorways and like just dreaming of all the things that I could be making. And I never ended up making a purchase because I couldn't really pick one colorway that I liked, and I couldn't really see myself in one of them. Do I make a garment? Do I make a shawl? I was all over the place. And then I saw one of her kits for Stephen West's Mystery Knit Along. So she put together some yarn from her colorways. She put together a kit of her colorways for the Mystery Knit Along. I didn't purchase it for the Mystery Knit Along. I mean, I thought I could, but when I saw the colors, it felt like it belonged to a different project. So anyway, I'll stop talking and I'll show you the yarn. So we're starting with this neon pink. I'm sorry, just the time of the day, there's so much light. This is the neon pink, and the color is called neon pink. And then there is this dusty pink with some beautiful neon splashes in it. This colorway is called Celosia. I think that's how you pronounce it. And then there is this beautiful mauve color. Colorway is mauve. And then this is Icy Lavender. It's a very, very pretty, very light lavender, and I think the colorway name is perfect, Icy Lavender. And finally, I know this is a lot, and finally this is a touch of mauve. Again, it's blowing out so much. It has beautiful speckles on natural white base. So it's a little off-whitey, it's a natural white, it has wonderful speckles. So these are the 5 colors, and I think I will be making Hohi's fading point with these skeins. And I have been wanting to knit the fading point for the longest time. I really love large shawls that I can wrap myself in, and the fading point, one of my friends made it, and every time she wears her fading point, I just keep looking at it. I want it, I need it. So anyways, I had been planning to make the pattern for a while, and I had not decided what my colorway would be, but then I saw Geraldine's Mystery Knit Along kit, and I had to purchase. I think in her Mystery Knit Along kit, she doesn't have the Icy Lavender. She has a deeper pink in that kit, but I swapped it out. Like, I made my own kit from her website, like from her Etsy store. I swapped it out for the Icy Lavender because I wanted to keep all the colors in the same shade tones. Like, I didn't want a deeper color because everything else was so pastel, so I wanted to stay with the pastel. I'm saying pastel and then there is this hot pink, but yeah, I don't know, I changed it. I changed one of the colors and I'm really pleased with it. So yes, so the fading point is going to happen soon, and I'm sorry again, there is so much light coming in, but I enjoy that. I know sometimes I see on podcasts people are trying to move themselves away from direct sunlight, maybe mostly because the viewers are probably having an issue with it. But I really like all the sun, and the days are getting shorter already. Now we're in October, so this is gonna go away soon. So, but I'm at the end of the episode anyway. I know some of you must be like, yes, finally, thank you. I talk a lot. So yeah, so that's everything I wanted to talk about. I did have another project that I'm going to cast on soon, but I think I'm gonna wait for the next episode to talk about it. I've already spoken for a while, um, but I think I had a lot to show. I had a lot to talk about. All right. I think I will end it here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting me. I'm so thankful to have such amazing friends out there who watched the first video that I put out and who encouraged me. And so I hope you like this video as well. I'm going to do the standard YouTube stuff. Please like the video, please subscribe if you like it, and you'll be notified when I upload future videos. Thank you so much for joining me, and I had a blast again recording this episode, and hope to see you all in 3 weeks. In 2 weeks I'm actually going to be at Rhinebeck, so I will I'll record a video once I'm back, telling you all about Rhinebeck. So that should be fun and long again. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hope you all have an amazing 2-3 weeks, and happy knitting. Bye.